Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Kentucky lawmakers make some changes to a bill to try and give schools a bit more security. And another bill is being discussed, possibly putting some restrictions on what students can learn while in the classroom.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good Wednesday morning to you. It's just almost 5:32 here. I'm Dakota Makris. Thanks so much for joining us. And let's take it over to Brandon for a look at our forecast this morning. And it's calm outside, so we're loving that this morning as always. I mean, it's a refresher. And then yesterday was actually after work yesterday, I had to help one of our coworkers I had to use my car to pick up something that they needed, an exercise bike. And I wore shorts and chacos. I had dinner with both Evan and Ethan. And Evan said, Dakota, why are you wearing chacos? And I said, you know, it was warmer outside. And he said, no, it's not. It's in the low 40s or whatever it was. Yep. But it was warm to me, so that's all that matters.
Exactly. Listen, when you've had temperatures in the teens and 20s, 40, it feels like a heat wave.
It feels like summertime.
Exactly. Exactly. We're going to see temperatures that are more like summertime today. You might actually be able to wear those chacos for a third day in a row. But again, this morning it's fairly quiet and much warmer than it has been. Let's go over to our camera at High Knob at UVA-Wise, and you'll see there a quiet morning over in Southwest Virginia. Temperature is a little cooler over that way. Jonesville's at 21. They're back online this morning for the first time in a few days. 32 in Wise, though, 39 Hazard, Prestonsburg, Jackson, 43 Irvin, 40 Monticello. It's 30 in London and 36 in Pikeville this morning across the state and region. 40 Cincinnati, 44 Nashville, 42 Paducah, and 23 in the Tri-Cities. 57 is your daytime high officially this afternoon. Sunrise at 7:29. I'll get it here in just a second. Sunset at 6:06. There we go. And then we'll see clouds increase along with some breezy conditions as we head deeper into the afternoon. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, a Perry County man working as a security guard is charged with sexual abuse and unlawful imprisonment after an incident police say happened at the ARH Psychiatric Center here in Hazard. Our Zach Hogg has more on the case.
21-year-old Jackson Baker of Gays Creek is facing felony charges after an incident in late January involving a patient at the Appalachian Regional Healthcare Psychiatric Center in Hazard.
On January 24th of this year, we received information and obtained an arrest warrant for Jackson Baker.
Baker worked as a security guard for Fast Staff Security at the facility. The police warrant charges him with first-degree sexual abuse and second-degree unlawful imprisonment. HPD officer Jordan Childers responded to a call from the legal guardian of the 25-year-old alleged victim.
Childers conducted a thorough investigation, and at the conclusion of that investigation, determined that there was probable cause to make an arrest.
The warrant says Baker groped the victim, tried forcing his hands on inappropriate areas, kissed her on the mouth, and wrote his phone number on a piece of paper he put in her bra. An attorney for the victim's guardian says the alleged assault took place in the course of an hour.
There's no excuse that an already disabled woman who was reporting, again, for suicidal ideations, be left alone with a male security guard for such an extended period of time.
Baker is out on bond and awaiting arraignment on March 8th. In Perry County, Zach Hawk, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, ARH officials tell us they cannot comment on the active investigation. State police are continuing to investigate a sexual assault case involving a dog in Breathitt County. Troopers tell us they arrested and charged 30-year-old Andrew Bennett with one count of sexual crimes against an animal. He is waiting for his preliminary hearing, which could be later this week or early next.
Depends on how lengthy the court process takes. There'll be several steps, a preliminary hearing, and then on possibly a jury trial if that goes that far. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we are told the dog, named Hope, received treatment and is being cared for by the group Aspire Appalachia. Two state lawmakers filed a bill that would eliminate the statute of limitations for victims of child sexual abuse. The legislation is headed by State Senator Morgan McGarvey and Representative Lisa Wilner and would allow civil cases to be filed at any time. Now, the Senator McGarvey says this bill was brought to him by a constituent who was severely abused as a child. Representative Wilner says there is no reason for the law to impose an arbitrary time limit on disclosures.
The goal of our legislation is to make sure that those abused as children have every opportunity to file civil claims against their abusers or people who may have helped the abusers in any way as part of their healing process.
Psychologists say Kentucky is the #1 state in the country per capita when it comes to child sex abuse crimes. Jury selection resumed yesterday in the high-profile trial of a former Kentucky police officer involved in the deadly raid that killed Breonna Taylor. The proceedings had been delayed for about a week because of inclement weather and after former Officer Brent Hakinson had to have minor surgery. Hakinson is not charged in Taylor's 2020 shooting death, but prosecutors said he fired shots during the drug raid that went into a neighboring apartment, endangering others. A judge widened the jury pool because of heavy publicity surrounding Taylor's death and racial injustice protests that took place in Louisville throughout 2020. A former Kentucky police recruiter is suing KSP and the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet for defamation. Captain Michael Webb says he was unfairly represented and resigned due to the January 6th Capitol riot. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports his attorneys say Webb was sightseeing in Washington, D.C. the day of the riot, but was not involved. Attorneys told the Herald-Leader Webb has suffered post-traumatic stress, depression, and anxiety after being reassigned. An internal KSP investigation last February cleared Webb of any wrongdoing. Kentucky lawmakers are altering a school police bill. A House Education Committee passed House Bill 63 on Tuesday. It would require school police on each campus, and it gets rid of a loophole allowing districts to not hire officers if funding or staffing is not available. Some criticism of the change came from 2 citizens who told lawmakers that more officers in schools is not the answer to the problems facing students.
Representative, you talked about what Manny did in Lexington, but he did that in conjunction with mental health therapists. Our children are traumatized. They were traumatized before the pandemic, and it is worse now.
And if you listen to the voices of the kids who have been through recent school shootings, those students have been screaming out for different types of changes and reforms that deal with what happens to them in school, but none of them are screaming for SROs.
The bill passed through committee with all but 3 representatives voting yes. SB 138 was introduced in committee last week. It would make some curriculum restrictions and provide a list of approved historical readings to be embedded in public, middle, and high school instruction. It would be called the Teaching American Principles Act, but opponents say Senate Bill 138 whitewashes American history and its backstory of racism.
It seems like it's a political issue that certain candidates have found success playing on fears about this, even though it's not being taught in schools, and now others are trying to do the same. From our perspective, SB 138 is a bad solution to a problem that does not exist.
The bill does set standards for school providing instruction consistent with a list of concepts, including all individuals are created equal, entitled to equal protection under the law, and deserves to be treated on the basis of character, not race or gender. Inspired by the new beginning she sought out in her own life, Rachel Jenkins of Somerset created a New Beginning Achievement Center, which is dedicated to serving adults with intellectual development and behavioral diagnosis. The facility provides an individualized approach to learning and focuses on the needs of each student and the goals they would like to achieve. The center provides lessons of banking, driving, self-esteem, and even offers a vocational program that can teach students what it's like to work various jobs in a controlled environment.
I think that's what has drawn me to this, is that I actually get to do what God put on my heart to do, and that is to make a difference for each one of these guys, like just to make sure that they have the tools that they need and the support that they need to be able to do what they want to do with their lives, just like any of the rest of us. So.
The center is working on What's Next program that will help provide subsidized housing and additional support to students who graduate from the center. Well, just ahead this morning, we take a look at the life of the quarterback from one of the football teams heading to the Super Bowl.
And very mild temperatures are in store for us the rest of the work and school week. But you know what they say, though, all good things must come to an end at some point. I'll have more on the coming changes in about 3 minutes.